Right, so when I was preparing this speech, I read an article that said the length of a best man speech should be the same amount of time as it takes the groom to make love on his wedding night. So thanks everyone. Sorry. So, thank you all for coming to Nick and Sarah's work meeting today. We've got wine, we've got spouses and kids, there's cheese in there, it's definitely a work meeting. So, I'm not used to public speaking or speaking at all when Nick's in the room. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Matthew. And I've known Nick since he was about 12 and I was considerably younger. We were really cool when we were young, which may be hard to believe, but we met at Boys Brigade with all the other cool people, and we played in the marching band.
Well, you didn't.
Went camping in the summer, and spent a lot of time talking about how great it would be if either of us ever got a girlfriend. And Nick was my best man when I got married, so today I get my revenge. I mean, I get to fill you in on the life of Nick over the next 2 hours. 10 minutes. Oh, okay, sorry. So of course, we should have been here this time last year, but COVID had other ideas. Remember that first lockdown? There were empty shelves in the supermarkets and there was no toilet roll or anything like that. We had to use lettuce leaves in our house, and that was just the tip of the iceberg.
Even my mum got that.
Having known Nick for so long, and it has been a very long time, I've got plenty of examples of the type of person that Sarah's inexplicably settled for. However, those of you who know Nick might have noticed that sometimes he likes to talk a little bit. I don't know if anyone's noticed that. So that makes finding stories none of you have heard before very, very difficult. So because 3 is the magic number, I'm going to talk to you about 3 things today. Nick the boy, Nick the man, and Nick the husband. So, Winston Churchill said, a good speech should be like a woman's skirt. Long enough to cover the essentials, but short enough to maintain interest. Let's see how we go on. So, Nick the boy. Nick was born a long time ago to Diane and Les, sits over here. Ever since he was 3 feet high and rising, he's always been obsessed with how fast he could do things. He's always had a live in the now philosophy. Now, before we go on past that, I have to say, I'm not saying Nick was an ugly baby, but Diane only got morning sickness after he was born. So, one of the things Nick always liked to do fast was collect rubbers from his classmates for some reason. And one of his favourite pastimes at Boys Brigade was seeing how fast he could eat a Cadbury's cream egg. So he would buy a pack of 6. This was in the olden days when they were proper sized Cadbury's cream eggs, not the little ones you get now. So he would buy a pack of 6, have 1 or 2 to warm up, and then go for it. His record was 8 seconds, start to finish. 8 seconds and done. Does that sound familiar, Sarah?
I like the bit about pack of 6 to warm up.
When we'd go bowling, his main aim was always to see how fast he could bowl, not how many pins he could knock down, which would often result not only in ridiculously low scores, but also quite often his ball ending up in an adjacent lane, or the one next to that, or the one next to that. So Nick the man, as a grown man, Nick has been described by a few women as a bit of a looker. Well, voyeur was the actual word there. No need to get picky. So once Nick got a car, he was again obsessed by speed. For those of you who know Northampton, he would compete against himself for the top speed that he could get from Spinney Roundabout to the White Bridge on Talavera Way. What was your top speed, Nick? for that quarter of a mile perhaps
I
distance.
think it was 90 miles an hour.
90 miles an hour. Unbelievable, I have to write that down. Once we started drinking, it soon became apparent neither of us could handle our booze. There was the time he got the bus home after a daytime session and ended up back in the bus station having fallen asleep and gone all the way around on the bus route. And the time he fell over the wall next to the taxi rank and landed in a rose bush. He was fine, by the way, but he did feel a little prick. When Nick gave his speech at my wedding, he told everyone about the time we went to Blackpool and I was sick in the toilets at Burger King, one of my greatest achievements. Well, of course, I'm not the only one who's been drunk in Blackpool, am I?
No.
Another time we went to Blackpool, and again obsessed by speed with his live in the now philosophy, he decided he was going to drink 5 red shots and 5 blue shots of aftershock in the space of about half an hour. Yes, exactly. He told my wife all of his darkest secrets on the walk home along the seafront, and then threw up bright purple vomit. Oh dear. Of course, there is another woman in Nick's life, his wonderful daughter Lucy, sitting just here. It's all right, going easy on you, Lucy. He took his role as a father to a young daughter very seriously, making sure that he taught Lucy all the important things to prepare her for life. He taught her about manners, the difference between right and wrong, and most importantly, when she was 6, he made sure every time he overtook someone in his car that she did this at them through the window. While we're talking about Nick the man, let me tell you about a couple of things that happened on the stag do. The first pub we went to, it was a bit rough. Actually, it was a lot rough. When we were there, they had a quiz night on, and the first question was, "Are you looking at my bird?" I'm also going to take this opportunity to mention the go-karting. I think it's fair to say we all had a good time. Gents? Come up there? Yes? We all had a good time. At least until the final. It's good being up here because while I'm doing the speech, it's just me, myself and I. And Nick just has to sit there and take it. So the go-karting. Let me give you some backstory. Nick and I had been go-karting twice before. And on one of those occasions, he'd been disqualified for dangerous driving because, you guessed it, he was going too fast and crashed into something. It's all part of his live in the now philosophy. So, the stag do. In the final, Nick started in pole position and I started in second. So there's no way he's going to let me get past. So on the second lap, he went a bit wide on a corner, and I thought, this is my chance. I'm going to sneak through. But just as I was about to pass him, he cut right across the track, and we had a little, shall we say, coming together. He ended up facing the wrong way, and I got disqualified for dangerous driving. I still maintain he was in the wrong for cutting me off, but I'm not bitter. He did a proper Michael Schumacher with me. And talking of people who crash in the snow, Nick only told me a couple of weeks ago about an incident which occurred some years back. He was on his way to work with a colleague in the car. It was snowing, and they got stuck behind someone who was driving, in Nick's words, too slow. But for the rest of us, normal people, at an appropriate speed given the conditions. On a downhill stretch, instead of deciding to say no go, Nick thought it would be a good idea to overtake the car, saying to his colleague, "Live in the now." I know. And despite the fact that every single one of you here this evening has already thought it, what Nick hadn't taken into account was the fact it was snowing, and therefore it took him far longer to stop than normal. So consequently, he ended up with his car in a bush. The car he'd overtaken drove past him, and his colleague never got a lift with him again. But I'm the one who's the dangerous driver. How about the time he was driving with Lucy and decided that would be a good moment to show her a scar on his elbow, causing them to nearly crash into a ditch? and Lucy learning a whole new dictionary of foul language. But I'm the one who's the dangerous driver. Okay, our final topic, Nick the husband. When Nick asked me to be his best man, I accepted straight away, of course. Some of you know, Nick's had 2 practice marriages. And at those weddings, he had a practice best man as well. So now that he's had the chance to make the correct choice with Sarah, I didn't want to miss my opportunity to say what an excellent couple they are. Just seeing all the happiness here today is absolute proof of that for me. So Nick and Sarah have been together since 2016.
Yeah.
You might not know this, but Sarah was one of the first people in the world to catch COVID because she hasn't had a sense of taste for 5.5 years now. Since they got together, it's been really great to see Nick so happy and enjoying life by doing things with Sarah, socialising, going on holidays, going to festivals and things like that. What I love about Nick and Sarah, they are such a great match. They've got loads of shared interests. They love each other so much, they even caught COVID at the same time. So yeah, loads of shared interests. For example, Nick loves talking. Sarah loves trying to get a word in edgeways. They both love holidays, going to concerts and the theatre. Nick loves talking. And Sarah loves pretending she hasn't heard that story 15 times already today. And perhaps most important of all, Nick has a 9-inch penis and Sarah doesn't know which way around to hold a ruler. Seriously though, I'm really glad Nick asked me to be his best man this time around because Sarah's the only partner he's had who I've actually liked. She loves Nick as he is, despite his face. She loves him for who he is, not for who she'd like him to be. And that for me is true love. Nick will be a great husband, Sarah, because he's committed, faithful, dedicated, fiercely loyal. Oh, I can't read that. What does that one say? Liar, okay. We've heard about Nick the boy, Nick the man, and Nick the husband. Today I've been his best man. But honestly, in this room and just about any other, the best man is always Nick. And I know Sarah will be in safe hands with him. So Nick and Sarah. Okay, before we all get smashed, Catherine over here has organised everything today. Well, under the very strict orders of General Sarah. But she's done a great job putting it all together today. So she's just asked me to read this. So now the speeches are done, please gather your belongings and move into the room where we had the ceremony, so that they can set this room up for the party later on. Anything or anyone left behind will be destroyed. Is that right? Yeah? Okay. So if you would like to make your way out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.